जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपीजना वल्लभा गिरिवराधारी। गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवराधारी। यशोदानंदना व्रज जनरंजना। यशोदानंदना व्रज जनरंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपीजना वल्लभा गिरिवराधारी। गोपीजना वल्लभा गिरिवराधारी। यशोदानंदना व्रज जनरंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Madan Mohan, Radhe. Jai Gauranithai, Jai Gauranithai. Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra. Jai Prabhupada. Nithai Gaura Haribol, Haribol. Jai Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrajaka Chari Stotra Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace, Srila Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Stotra Satha Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जाय, नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जाय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जाय। ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जाय। नवद्वीप श्री मायापुर धाम की जाय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जाय। गंगा माँ यमुना माँ की जाय। वृंद देवी तुलसी महारानी की जाय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जाय। श्रील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसलेशनल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जाय। द मोस्ट मर्सिबल लॉर्डशिप श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन जी की जाय। द मोस्ट मर्सिबल लॉर्डशिप श्री श्री गौनिथाय की जाय। द मोस्ट मर्सिबल लॉर्डशिप श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्र महारानी की जाय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जाय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Shaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 23, entitled Maharaj Prutu's Going Back Home, text number 39. This is the last text of this chapter. Anudinam idamadarena shravan Anudinam idamadarena shrinvan Prutucharitam pratyan vimukta sangaha Prutucharitam pratayan vimukta sangaha Bhagavati Bhavasindu Potapade Bhagavati Bhavasindu Potapade Sachanipunam Labhate Rati Manushya Sachanipunam Labhate Rati Manushya Anudinamidam Adarena Shrinvan Prutucharitam Pratayan Vimukta Sangha Bhagavati Bhavasindu Potapade Sachanipunam Labhate Ratim Manushya Anudinam Idam Adarena Shrinvan Prutucharitam Pratayan Vimukta Sangaha Bhagavati Bhavasindu Potapade Sachanipunam Labhate Ratim Manushyaha. Anudinam idam adarena shrinvan Prutucharitam pratayan vimukta sangaha Bhagavati bhavasindhu potapade Sachanipunam labhate ratim manushyaha Anudinam idam adarena shranman Pruducharitam pradayan vimukta sangaha Bhagavati bhavasindhu potapade Sachanipunam labhate ratim manushyaha Anudinam idam adarena shranman Prutucharitam pratayan vimukta sangaha Bhagavati bhavasindhu potapade Sachanipunam labhate ratim manushyaha. Any Matajis? Anudinam, day after day, idam, this, adarena, with great respect, shrinvan, hearing, prutucharitam, the narration of Prithu Maharaj, pratayan, chanting, vimukta, liberated, sangaha, association, Bhagavati, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhava Sindhu, the ocean of nescience, Pota, the boat, Pade, whose lotus feet, Saha, he, Cha, also, Nipunam, complete, Labhate, achieves, Ratim, attachment, Manushyaha, the person. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Whoever with great reverence and adoration regularly reads, chants and describes the history of Maharaj Prithu's activities will certainly increase unflinching faith and attraction for the lotus feet of the Lord. The Lord's lotus feet are the boat by which one can cross the ocean of nescience. Please repeat. Whoever with great reverence and adoration regularly reads, chants and describes the history of Maharaj Prithu's activities will certainly increase unflinching faith and attraction for the lotus feet of the Lord. The Lord's lotus feet are the boat by which one can cross the ocean of nescience. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The word Bhava Sindhu Potapade is significant in this verse. The lotus feet of the Lord are known as Mahatpadam. This means that the total source of material existence rests on the lotus feet of the Lord. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavaha, everything is emanating from Him. This cosmic manifestation, which is compared to an ocean of nescience, is also resting on the lotus feet of the Lord. As such, this great ocean of nescience is minimized by a person who is a pure devotee. One who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord need not cross over the ocean, for he has already crossed it by virtue of his position at the lotus feet, at the Lord's lotus feet. By hearing and chanting of the glories of the Lord or the Lord's devotee, one can become firmly fixed in the service of the Lord, lotus feet of the Lord. This position can also be achieved very easily by narrating the history of the life of Prithu Maharaj regularly every day. The word Vimukta Sangaha is also significant in this connection. Because we associate with the three qualities of material nature, our position in this material world is full of dangers. But when we engage in the devotional service of the Lord, by the process of Shravanam and Kirtanam, we immediately become Vimukta Sangha or liberated. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 4th canto, 23rd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Maharaj Pratu's Going Back Home. Jai Shri Shri Gaunithai ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Ji ki Jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharaj ki Jai. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarobhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langaite girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatharinam. This is such a nice verse to end the chapter, because this offers blessings and confidence to the reader of this Pratucharita. Not just the reader, but one who hears, describes, anyone who does this pertaining to Prithu Maharaj, they will just cross the ocean of material nescience. So Srila Prabhupada is describing some significant words from this verse. One is Mahatpadam. Prutucharitam Pratayan Vimukta Sangaha Bhagavati Bhavasindu Potapade Sachanipunam Labate Ratim Manushyaha. Lord's lotus feet are called Mahatpadam. And Srila Prabhupada is describing why Lord's lotus feet are called Mahatpadam, because all the material creation is emanating from his lotus feet. Mahatattva. Mahatattva is the total material energy. It's unmanifested total material energy. And that Mahatattva, when the Lord looks at that Mahatattva, or he impregnates the Mahatattva with the jivas, and then the Mahatattva produces different jivas with different bodies, different material universes will come. So all of that happens by the Lord's glance. So that material creation is coming from the lotus feet of the Lord. So that's why Lord's lotus feet's name are called Mahatpada. Mahatpada. Samashritaye padapallavaplavam Mahatpadam punya yasho murare bhavam budir vatsaparam padam 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 yat vipadam natesham. So this is there in the scriptures. This material ocean is considered to be padam padam yat vipadam. At every step there is danger. Vipat means danger. What is the danger of the material world? The danger is one can forget Krishna. That is the danger. The living entity, when he is in the womb of the mother at the age of 7 months, if the living entity is pious, he pitiably prays to the Lord, "My dear Lord, I will definitely serve you. Please release me from this very, very suffering condition." So that means even though the body is not fully grown, but the mind and the consciousness of the living entity is pure enough at the age of 7 months. Natural dependency is there on the Lord. So we think that no, we develop a lot of logic and reasoning after we get educated. In fact, the education removes your logic and removes your natural faith and dependency on the Lord. But otherwise, in a helpless condition, every living entity is naturally dependent on the Lord. So that is why at the age of 7 months, the pious living entity prays. And when he comes out of the womb of the mother, then immediately the illusion starts identifying with the mother, the father, with the friends and relatives. So as soon as he comes out of the womb, the illusion starts. So that is why Sukadeva Goswami, he felt it's better to be in the womb of the mother than come out of the womb of the mother. Because this suffering is much better than the suffering caused by the illusion. Because you totally forget Krishna. Totally forget the promise that you made to Krishna at the age of 7 months. So, even though we are reminded by saintly persons remind us, scriptures remind us, the Lord's Archa Vigraha and the puja that takes place, all of that remind us about the Lord, but still one does not take full benefit of these reminders unless one is actually very serious in Krishna consciousness, sincere and serious in Krishna consciousness. But Lord, from His side, He is making all endeavors to remind us about our connection with Him. So, that is why this is called Padam Padam Yat Vipadam. Means at every step there is a danger. The danger is not some physical danger. Physical danger is there anyway. That is also true. That, who knows what will hit us, how different people actually die. It's really, really difficult to know how different people die. And if it is written that this person has to die in certain time, then that person will die. There was just a recent incident. There was just a 2-3-year-old boy, who just who just fell down because of something, broke his leg or something like that, or there was a cut at his neck. Then the parents took the boy, and almost 1.5-2 months of treatment was given, and the boy was rescued. Again, after 2-3 months, one monkey entered into their house. And when the monkey entered, they don't have a fully built house. It was a thatched hut with stones, and the sheets were there. So when the monkey entered in and then jumped on that roof, the sheets and then the big rocks fell on this boy and died. It was definitely not the fault of the boy in both situations. But the boy died. Within a span of 2 months, there were 2 accidents. It's not that this is a new news. This is an old thing. Everywhere we see, either today or tomorrow we'll have to leave the body. And it can come by through any way it can come. Somebody may go by accident. You may attribute anything. this person was not carefully driving. Even if you are carefully driving, the other person is not carefully driving, what can you do? You can't do anything about it. So we may attribute external reasons for any uh, any ghatana or any act, for any act, but the ultimate reason is it is Krishna's decision. That's all. So at every step there is a danger, both physical to the physical body and also danger to the consciousness. And the danger to the consciousness is much more than to the physical body. Because even though you may leave this body, but if your consciousness is pure, you do not have to take birth again. But if the consciousness is not pure, even if the body is healthy, still one has to come back after leaving the body. So the real danger is not the physical danger, the real danger is the danger of forgetting Krishna. That's the real danger. So that is why it is said, those who are living in the material world, they can cross the material world if they take shelter of Lord Krishna, which is called Mahatpadam Punya Yasho Murare. If one chants the glorious activities of Murari or Krishna, then what happens? Bhavambudir Vatsaparam Vatsapadam. Vatsapadam means just like the water contained in the hoof print of a calf. The big, huge ocean of material existence becomes very, very, very small as the water that is contained in the hoof print. Vatsapadam param padam 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 yat vipadam natesha. So these are mystical words. We may not logically be able to understand how this happens. It happens. How it happens? Because the Lord gives shelter. We just have to depend on the Lord. Although we may say we just have to depend on the Lord, that just have to is not such an easy thing. So what is that? Depending on the Lord means what? That is something interesting that we have to discuss. Because if dependency is so easy, why we are not able to depend? In a helpless state, depending may be easy, but depending on Krishna, when everything is at your disposal, is much difficult. Like when the child is at the age of 7 months, it is easy to depend on the Lord because he doesn't have any other rescue. He has to depend on the Lord. But the moment the child comes out, the shelter becomes father, mother, money, relatives, friends, body. Everything becomes shelter except Krishna. So that is why when all these facilities are available, still you are depending on Krishna. That is called taking shelter of Krishna. Essentially, taking shelter of Krishna means Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. This is what is the meaning of taking shelter of Krishna. Always one should conduct by Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Or as Bhishmadev said to Yudhishthira Maharaj, Vipradharma Achyuta Ashrayaha. That is what is the meaning of taking shelter of Krishna. Whether Krishna is physically present, just like he was present to the Pandavas, or he may not be physically present. It does not matter. But one can live like Pandavas if we take these steps. Vipradharma Achyuta Ashraya, or Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. So it is essential for us to know what is the Shastra. We have to learn from the Guru, learn from the previous Acharyas. But that is not the difficult thing. Learning may not be a difficult thing. It is difficult, but it may not be so difficult. What is difficult? While you learn these principles, there is temptations and provocations that are available in the material world. Material world functions on temporary principles, false principles, and you are bombarded by such opportunities to cross the line of dharma. And when you cross the line of dharma, then one is doomed. So, it is very important to apply these principles of dharma in one's life. not just know the principles of Dharma. Everybody knows the principles of Dharma, more or less. If you get trained under some guru who is properly situated, you can actually understand this is to be done, this is not to be done. Like when we were children, we were told one should not steal, one should not lie, one should not do this, one should not do that. So many do's and don'ts have been told to us when we are children. But when we grow up, do we follow that? Why we don't follow that? It's a matter of convenience. When it is convenient, we will follow. When it is not convenient, we will not follow. So what is our convenience? When it is helping our sense gratification, when it is helping our goal of sense gratification, we will follow. When it is not helping us, we will give it up. So this is not called following dharma. So that is why people who act by convenience are not called devotees. They are called non-devotees. Devarshi bhuta, what is that sloka? Harava bhaktasya kuto mahadguna manorathe nasti dhavato bahi. What is the beginning of the sloka? Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarvair gunais tatra samasate suraha. Suraguna will come when one becomes a devotee of Krishna. But even though one may exhibit some good qualities, if he is not a devotee, take it for granted that one day or the other he will break. Because he doesn't have any shelter. He's just doing it out of convenience, for some reputation or for some physical material profit or something like that. So it's impossible to stand on dharma if one is not a devotee of the Lord. 100% guaranteed. Those who are trying to become the devotees of the Lord only are not able to stand by dharma. What to speak of those who do not become devotees of the Lord? Because they don't even know what is dharma. Ultimately, dharma means what? Dharma means Bhagavat Pranitam. Dharmastu sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. Whatever God has ordained following, that is called dharma. And sometimes it is very tricky. Following dharma is very tricky, you are not sure. For Arjuna it was very tricky. Should he fight the battle and kill Bhishma and Drona, or abstain from fighting? There is a confusion. Similarly, he was put in confusion after the battle also, whether to kill Ashwatthama or spare him. Similarly, different people were put in that dharma sankata, it is called. Dharma sankata means, you are not clear whether to do it, not to do it. When Mother Sita was put in dharma sankata, Lakshmana was put in dharma sankata. Why? Dashrath Maharaj was put in dharma sankata to order his own son to go to the forest for 14 years. It's a dharma sankata. Bali Maharaj was put in dharma sankata because he has given word that he will give 3 feet of land. But his guru told him, don't follow this. There are rules in the scripture where you can forego this promise. And I will tell you all those rules. So it's a dharma sankata, whether to follow or not is a dharma sankata. So similarly, if you follow dharma only, you will get dharma sankata. If you don't follow dharma, what will come? Only sankata will come. No dharma sankata will come. Isn't it? Many people don't even follow dharma, so what will come? Only sankata will come. So dharma sankata will come to the person who is very conscientious, who is very, very, very sincere in following dharma. He will get dharma sankata. So it's not so easy to depend on Krishna, to always choose truth, to always stand by truth, to always depend on Krishna, to always go by the advice of the acharyas and the gurus. It's not always true. Because we think that we have developed enough intelligence. Sometimes, when we read Shastras, we may get some knowledge and we think that we are enough knowledgeable that I do not need to consult anyone. That's what happened with Bharat Maharaj. He did not consult anyone whether he should take care of that deer. It costed him 3 lifetimes. Just one decision. He's almost on the fag end of the completion of his bhakti yoga. He was in the bhava state. But that last step he missed it. He messed it up by not consulting anyone. So if that is so with Bharat Maharaj, what to speak of people like us, ordinary people who are always being tossed by the waves of material ocean? How much should we be sticking to the scriptures, the acharyas, and the guru's instructions? So, depending on Krishna means, or taking shelter of Krishna means this. Taking shelter of Krishna means not just by, looking at the lotus feet of Krishna in the altar and then think that today I have taken lotus feet of Krishna, shelter of lotus feet of Krishna. That anybody can do, looking at the lotus feet. But practically looking at the lotus feet, taking shelter of the lotus feet means this. When you have an opportunity to deviate, you don't deviate because you used your independence properly. Krishna is giving us increasing independence. As human beings, we have much independence, much better independence than animals. But as we grow in dharma, as a human being also, you get more and more opportunity. Your consciousness grows, your misuse of independence also grows. So one should be more careful. Suppose if I don't have money, I cannot misuse the money. But if I have a lot of money, then I can misuse the money. Whatever you get more, there is an opportunity to misuse it. So, as evolved human beings, or as practicing devotees, we get more and more independence. But how we use that more and more independence wisely, that gives a particular destination for us. So, simply, Mahatpadam means simply taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. What is taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord? This is what is taking shelter. Or even physically, if you say, just to get a graphic understanding of what it is. If the whole material creation is coming from the lotus feet of the Lord, and you have taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, then what is material creation? When you have taken shelter, when Lord is walking, you are walking with the lotus feet of the Lord. You can easily cross. The whole material ocean becomes just a small hoof print. That is why it is said, Mahat Padam Punya Yasho Murare Bhavam Badir Vatsa Param Padam 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 Yatvi Padam Natesha. So, devotees always, they depend on Krishna. They never take the intelligence that Krishna has given to them as granted. They know very well that this intelligence, these facilities, they can all be taken away anytime. Just like Arjuna, he understood as soon as he could not fight with these gwalas or the, the cowherd people, cowherd men who stole away Krishna's queens, he understood that my powers have been withdrawn. Or if a wise man becomes older, he understands that his time is over. He has to prepare for death. Or when your juniors or when your subordinates are not listening to you anymore, then you must understand that you have to step aside and give the way for them. Yes, it is true. It's true. Very, very, very greatly spiritually elevated people can command respect even when they are on the deathbed. Otherwise, as long as your hands and legs are moving and your mouth is working, you may be able to command. Even then you may not be able to command. But if you are, reasonably spiritually astute, you will be able to command. But once the mouth is gone, the hands and legs are not working, you are on the deathbed, nobody cares. Nobody will care. Your words will not have value. So, it's very difficult to command respect at that time. So one must understand, my time is over. I should not try to control. I should go to my solitary bhajana, whatever it is, and you cannot do it. physically so much. So that is why essentially you will find many acharyas, they were very active for some time physically, and when the death is imminent and near, they go to seclusion and then they go to, bhajana, deep meditation on the Supreme Lord. I'm not saying that everyone should do that because Prabhupada did not do that or Bhakti Siddhanta didn't do that. That's not the example that they have set for us. Prabhupada, till the last breath, Prabhupada was actually serving. He wanted to travel. Bhakti Siddhanta was also in the same mood. So this is the example that is set for us. Similarly, our acharyas, whatever they do, we'll have to follow that. But general principle is this: when you are not physically active, you will not be able to command respect from others. Don't try to manage, but try to be in deep meditation of, whatever you have learned all your life. Sometimes disease, sometimes bedridden condition will help us to have a sample of that lost days, isn't it? When we are in a bedridden condition, you cannot even move to get a glass of water. Everything you have to depend on some helper. So many people go through their life, last days of their life like this. And what is the only shelter? The only shelter is the name of Krishna, calling the name of Krishna, tolerating the inconveniences and chanting Krishna's name. So one has to practice for this. Otherwise one gets frustrated. Old age comes, nobody listens to me, they have neglected me. All kinds of frustrations will come. Every moment, because already the body is giving us so much suffering. On top of that, we expect minute to minute attendance of others. Minute to minute they want. Because there is so much of fear. And when people, who will be there with an old man about to die all the time? Even if you put a nurse also, she will not be there. She will be looking at the mobile phone, playing games or something. This man has to yell, "Come for help, come for help." And she or he, with great frustration, gets up from his, phone business and try to do something. These things are going to happen to everyone. So, the only thing that actually saves us is deep remembrance of Krishna. That is why great personalities, when they leave the body, they know when they have to leave the body. So they prepare to leave the body. Prabhupada, when his disciples told, you please eat, please eat, please eat. Prabhupada, he obliged to them for some time, but then he knew that it is Krishna's call, so he has to go. So when he has to go, he stopped eating. He was only taking Charanamrita for a few days, and after that he left. So he was preparing to leave the body. So we must understand that, leaving the body is not so easy unless one is taken full shelter of Krishna. Otherwise, great acharyas would not have prayed that, my dear Lord, I don't want to wait till that time. I am now feeling better, I want to leave now. Why would they say that? So, my point is that Mahatpadam means taking shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, means this, that one has to always abide by the Guru, Sadhu, Shastra instructions. Even though there are so many obstacles, challenges, your society may not so much of supportive. If everyone is going in one direction, there is a natural tendency to go in the same direction. If everyone is untruthful, why should I be truthful? Sometimes you see, when there is a red signal, when all the cars are going, all the vehicles are going, you cannot stop, you also have to go. If you don't go, what will happen? The fellow behind you will be honking. Even though it's a red signal, you're supposed to stop. The one who is beside you, this side, that side, front, everyone is going. So you cannot stop. So there is a, there is a temptation. So similarly, this world is like that. The world makes us to forget Krishna. The world gives us shortcuts. The world gives us opportunity to depend on everything else but Krishna. And if we succumb to that, that is not called Mahatpadam Punya Esho Murari. That is the danger. Whereas in the spiritual world, there is so much of opportunity to render service to Krishna. You get good association. Everyone encourages us to follow dharma. Here, everyone discourages us to follow dharma. That is why this is vipadam, padam padam yat vipadam. So, but when we hear and read the great charitas or the great histories of these great personalities such as Maharaj Prithu, Maharaj Parikshit, Sukadeva Goswami, all these great personalities, Ambarish Maharaj, Yudhishthira Maharaj, Prithu Maharaj, all these great personalities, then we get conviction, Prahlad Maharaj, that yes, no matter how difficult it is, how impelling it is, how tempting it is, I'll still try to stand by dharma by depending on Krishna. Krishna, please give me strength. The strength is not the physical strength, the strength to stand by your principles. Give me strength, my dear Krishna. That Shraddha you give me. Praying to Krishna and praying to the devotees of Krishna. Kripa bindu diya koroye dashe Trunapekati hina Shraddha bindu diya Tumi kripa kori Shraddha bindu diya Deho Krishna Nama dhane. So this is what is the prayer of a devotee. He doesn't want material assets to rescue himself from this tabernacle of material existence. He knew nothing will work except Krishna's shelter. Unless Krishna says, yes, this person can be taken from this material world, one will never be able to go to the spiritual world. No matter how influential one may be or whatever it is. So we are entirely depending on Krishna's causeless mercy. Why would Krishna say that? Okay, this person can be taken away. One must be reasonably following the scriptures, Guru Sadhu Shastra. Otherwise, why would Krishna say, take this person back home, back to God? Krishna is not a whimsical person. He is not an illogical person. We do all nonsense and then say, yes, Krishna has some special affection for me, so he will tell Maya Devi, no, just chutkari de do usko. This is like, a cat is drinking the milk in the kitchen, closing his eyes, thinking no one is seeing. This is this mentality. It's not going to happen like that. So we have to put our consciousness in a proper direction to attract the mercy of the Lord. So these are some points. Anyone has any question, comment? All right. Here.
Hare Krishna. As we see in the example of Bhishma Dev, throughout his life he was involved in the politics of the Kuru dynasty. But at the end of his life he found how he, on the arrow bed, he offered prayers to Krishna and his consciousness completely fixed in Krishna. Something similar we experience, like even though we are devotees, we are functioning in an institution and such a management, teaching, this, that. So although we are practicing every time, but still we are not sure that when the last time will come, whether we will be able to withdraw from everything, be able to absorb. We say that by practice it will happen, but still there's always a fear kind of thing that whether my practice will be fulfilled. So what is the hope, Roji, other than the practice you are doing? But is there any hope other than that you'll be able to withdraw and focus?
First of all, Bhishmadeva's example is totally different. It is not comparable for us because Bhishmadeva was the pure devotee of the Lord. In fact, he took the side of the Kauravas to establish the fact that even though you may be very powerful, but if you go against the will of the Lord, you will be destroyed. So to set that example, he has taken that side. So that example is not, relevant for us in that sense. Like all of us, we are all trying to practice. But what is the practice? If we have to properly understand what is the practice, practicing the external things, practicing dependency on Krishna. What is the practice? And there is always the attention gets deviated from the original practice. The original practice is actually depending on Krishna. Knowing that my external practices will not come to my rescue if Krishna has not accepted my practices. We may get up early in the morning, every day we may get up early in the morning. That's fine, that's very good. But if your mind is not properly fixed on Krishna, or we may be sitting in the Bhagavatam class every day for the marking of attendance, but if you're sleeping in the Bhagavatam class, that is not considered as actually, being present in the Bhagavatam class. Or if we are doing some service to somebody with the motivation of wanting to be glorified or being recognized, that's not called service. So these subtle things have to be carefully taken into consideration. What is that I am affected by? What is motivating me? Love is motivating me. Gratitude is what is motivating me. I feel that I have been rescued by my spiritual master, and if I don't serve my spiritual master, what is the use of this life? Is that what is motivating me? Or other factors are there? Other factors are always present in front of you. When you give a nice class, people will come to you, Prabhu, what a beautiful class you gave. Prabhu, what a wonderful kirtan you led. Immediately the Mr. P will become bigger and bigger. Pride will come. Thinking that actually it's all my effort, it's all my, this thing. So, your classes, your kirtans, your this and that will not work. As much as he told, Shankaracharya told his disciples, nahi nahi rakshati dukrin karne. Similarly, none of these practices will actually help us if we don't develop dependency on Krishna. It's not a contract that because I am doing these things, Krishna, you are bound to deliver me. It's not a contract. Krishna cannot be bound by such contract. But then what is a contract, I can tell you from Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam says, Tattenukampam susamikshamano. This will bind Krishna. A devotee who thinks that whatever I am getting is by the mercy of the Lord, if it is favorable, the Lord is extra charitable. If it is unfavorable, He is reducing my suffering. If one thinks like that and accepts different situations that come to his life, such a person is called Dayabhak. He inherits the mercy of the Lord. Lord becomes obliged for such a person, to deliver such a person. So we can check whether we are feeling like that or not. Our feeling is mostly, I deserve more, but I am getting less. That's our feeling, isn't it? Most of us are like that. And this devotee is coming in between. Because of him, whatever I deserve more, I am not able to get it. So you pinpoint the devotee and find fault with the devotee and then try to criticize the devotee. And the devotee differs from situation to situation, time to time. Today A, tomorrow B, another time X, Y, G. So our negativity also is not fixed on one devotee, because our negativity is towards Krishna basically. Our enviousness is towards Krishna. And a particular devotee carries that, and he becomes the object of our negativity. So it's a mentality. Basically, it's a mentality. That is why we have to overpower that, or we have to cross that. That is the sadhana, actually. If you ask me what is sadhana, this verse is the sadhana. Tattenu kampam susamikshamano is the sadhana. That is the real sadhana. With that mood, one should do everything. You're chanting, you're hearing, whatever that you're doing, you should do with this mood. Then daya bhag. Then definitely Krishna will not have any choice but to give mercy to such a person. Is that making some sense? Anything else? Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samveda Gaur Bhakta Bandha ki jai.